To a Zentraedi, fighting is a way of life.
I want you to send me back to the battle fortress.
No, that's completely out of the question.
My place is with those whom I've fought alongside for so long, don't you understand? Father, you've got to let me go back up.
Our flagship has just now informed me that the main fleet is headed for this star system.
Huh? The main fleet?
Yes, consisting of more than 4,800,000 battle-ready warships, with the destructive force of a small nova.
You're crazy! A fleet of almost 5 million? There's no way we can fight them off.
It's not over yet. There might still be a way.
Huh?
Explain.
So far, this vessel of yours has proven itself indestructible. I'm not sure how, but there must be a way to win. Since DOLZA knows we have already been exposed to your culture, there is no option but to fight.
I'm glad that we are fighting on the same side.
Bear my thoughts, Lord DOLZA, and take a good look at me while you still can, for this is the final battle of BREETAI.
If all goes as planned, the enemy will be thrown into disarray and we will attack in full force.
This may be the only chance we'll have.
Good luck.
DOLZA's armada was still arriving. Waves of Zentraedi battleships continually defolding above the Earth. As imposing as it was, the crew of the SDF-1 quickly and eagerly moved to defend the very planets that had exiled them into space. Max confirmed with his wife it was time to head out, and MIRIYA confirmed she was right behind him, ready for battle. There was a momentary sadness seen in Max's eyes as he felt irony's cruel twist deep within, at fate giving him this soulmate and not giving them much time together. Yet duty calls. Max turns to Rick, telling him, "See you around, boss." Rick telling him, "You can bet on it," before watching the two warriors who formed that happy couple run off together. Rick couldn't be happier for them, and suddenly found himself inspired by them. He looked over to Minmay, who was already giving him a concerned stare from across the room. Knowing Rick would now have to go fight, knowing she herself had influenced him to become a soldier to begin with. Well, what did he have to lose at this point? Knowing he may never get another chance to do this, he ran over to Minmay, despite Kyle's looming right next to her.
Yes, Rick?
I'm not very good at this sort of thing, but I might not see you again. I wanted to say that I love you.
Oh, Rick. Oh.
I just had to tell you. Farewell for now.
It was all very sudden, and in the middle of the world facing certain doom, what could she possibly say back in that moment? He didn't need her to say anything, and was glad he was finally able to express it to her. He felt he could now go and face his fate with a clear head and conscience, knowing that the woman who'd inspired him to be a fighter pilot knew why he fought. To protect her. But now, as he ran off to battle, she couldn't let him go without saying something.
Wait, Rick!
Don't try to stop him.
Please, I must!
Minmay!
For 2 years, the SDF-1 had attempted to outmaneuver both BREETAI's fleet and AZONIA's. Now, she found herself encompassed by their combined forces, as every ship in their flotilla repositioned and reloaded every armament, preparing to assault the massive fleet of DOLZA. Every destroid within the ship went to take up action stations on the outside, to add its firepower to the batteries of the battle fortress. On the bridge, Captain Gloval, with EXEDORE at his side, received status reports on the arming of their stockpile of reflex warheads to every unit and weapons system aboard. The reflex warheads were basically robotechnological nukes, capable of incredible destructive payload. An ace up the SDF-1's sleeve that Global had hoped he'd never have need to use. But the time had come, it seemed. EXEDORE wasn't surprised the Micronians had these reflex weapons in their back pockets, and had even postulated on the possibility of their possession upon seeing that the Earthlings had repurposed Zor's crashed ship. A possibility even BREETAI was wary of at the time.
We know they have
Reflex weaponry.
precisely, and this makes them very dangerous, so we must exercise caution.
As EXEDORE expressed both his intrigue and commendation at Gloval's restraint in using these powerful weapons, Gloval told him how ironic he found it that instead of using them on BREETAI's ships, he would be fighting side by side with them, using these weapons in their aid. At Alaska Base, all hands were deep in their own preparations for the defense of the planet, many of them working as quickly as possible to ready the best chance they had against this immense Zentraedi fleet, the Grand Cannon. Yet this fleet appeared so indomitable, there were those who doubted even the Grand Cannon could make much difference.
Numbering in excess of 4 million. Grand Cannon ready to fire in T-minus 30 seconds and counting.
With a force that big, we can't hope to win. We couldn't do it even if we used the Grand Cannon.
Lieutenant, have we been able to establish radio contact with them?
We're trying, Admiral, but so far it's no go.
Well, there's nothing left to do but fight.
It's good to see that before pulling the Grand Cannon's trigger, Lisa's father did at least try to open a dialogue with the Zentraedi and establish some kind of talks, ultimately taking the advice of his daughter. But it also ultimately seems to be too little, too late. Lisa herself was at her station, coordinating flight groups. As they radio back their confirmations of her commands, she can't help but take a moment to think of her friends aboard the SDF-1. Not the least of which was Rick Hunter. Rick ritualistically finished adorning his flight suit, focusing on the battle ahead, alone in the pilot's ready room, when he hears a knock at the door. Thinking it was just some subordinate coming to relay orders,
Rick?
he invites the visitor in, completely caught off guard to find that visitor
Minmei?
is her. She didn't even know what to say. There was suddenly so much to say, for both of them. And for what seemed like an eternity, they simply said nothing as they looked into each other's eyes. As the last of the Zentraedi battle cruisers folded in, the capstone of their fleet, DOLZA's colossal space fortress, materialized within the swarm, itself an enormous hive, still harboring thousands more ships within. The fleet of 4,800,000 battle-ready warships were in position above the planet Earth, awaiting orders from their supreme commander. DOLZA was informed of the successful transfer of all ships to this system, and immediately issued the order to begin their attack, starting with the planet below.
Default reaction completed. All vessels armed and ready.
Excellent. My first attack shall be the mother planet. All ships stand prepared.
Nearly every single Zentraedi vessel split at their forefront, opening their own main guns, similar to that of the SDF-1s, and began charging the energy beams that would begin their assault.
I want to apologize to you, Rick. I mean, about Kyle.
It's not really your fault. I should have let you know what my feelings really were.
But
Oh, Minmei, it's all right.
Rick had just finally resolved all these feelings in his own heart and mind, and now here she was, stirring them all up again inside, not letting him go, when what he needed most right now was to clear his mind for the battle ahead. She was trying to do the right thing and make amends. She'd been realizing that bringing Kyle back to the battle fortress was a mistake for many reasons. not the least of which was how he'd taken her attention away from Rick, had been isolating her from her own old friends. She had begun to see how Kyle had been manipulating her the way narcissistic sociopaths tend to do. And here was Rick, who'd always been so friendly, so supportive, who had even saved her life multiple times. And now he'd told her exactly why he did it.
I wanted to say that I love you.
Oh, Rick.
She wished she'd realized sooner, wished she'd embraced Rick more in her life instead of teasing him or stringing him along. And now she feared it was too late, not only because he was now the one shutting her out. It was most likely the end of the world and the end of their lives. Rick not only wanted to clear his head, but wanted to know that if she survived this battle and the world didn't end, she could move on and be free, believing there was no way he himself had a chance of surviving, realistically. As she drew nearer in this moment, he wanted to push her away for her own good, but he also couldn't help but let some bitterness against her seep into his words.
How do I tell her? I'm a pilot and you're a big star now. You know it wouldn't have worked for us anyway. It's strange to think how small our world is. It's a pity that so much time was wasted between us, isn't it?
Well, that certainly cut deep. She was now even more confused, but Rick was being pragmatic. He needed to keep his feelings resolved, to steel his nerves for the fight ahead, and although they'd met because of this ship, survived together for days and days within it, and now resided on the battle fortress as the home of them both, they may as well be living on two different worlds. Now, when I watched this as a child, I could not have been more on the edge of my seat in this moment. Not so much with the Rick and Minmay stuff, though I was intrigued by it. But the stakes were just so high, with the fate of the world, the practically infinite number of enemies between our heroes and victory. It all just seemed so insurmountable, so impossible. But if cartoons of the time had taught me anything, it's that the good guys always prevail and save the day. I was so excited to see how the SDF-1 and her crew, with BREETAI, AZONIA, and all the good guys Zentraedi, were gonna beat back this fleet, send DOLZA packing, and save the entire Earth from the bad guys. That is not what happened. The ships of DOLZA had been charging their main guns, building up an immense power to fire energy blasts as big as the ships themselves. They unleashed these bolts all around the planet, onto the surface below. The few ships Earth had in space were all instantly demolished against this rain of death that burst through them all on their way to their targets. Across the entire surface of the Earth, DOLZA's rain of death poured from his fleet, killing billions and leveling the planet. My own face as I watched this, my reaction, must have matched those of Lisa Hayes, her father, and the rest of those lucky enough to be deep below the surface in Alaska base. Captain Gloval couldn't believe this DOLZA could be so ruthless. The entire bridge crew echoing in shock, even EXEDORE flinching at this show of brutality they witnessed on Vanessa's screen. DOLZA smiled and even laughed, watching the end of these puny Micronians, knowing that BREETAI, his new pathetic allies on Zor's battle fortress, who had caused him much irritation, were witnessing the power at his command and realizing the futility in standing against him. Rick and Minmay also witnessed this destruction together and could not believe their eyes. They could see the Earth lit up by countless flashes of energy waves blasting at it. Minmay was almost afraid to say it, but asks Rick if this means everyone on the planet has now been killed. He wouldn't hide the truth of it from her.
The whole planet!
Are they all destroyed?
Probably.
Oh no! Mother! Father!
Lisa.
Of course, Minmay caught the name of another woman escape Rick's lips, but it didn't matter. Nothing mattered anymore. Minmay sang quietly as a comfort to herself, a tribute to those now lost to them forever, as a eulogy to the once green and beautiful Mother Earth. But she couldn't even finish the song before breaking down in tears as the reality of the situation sunk in. However, hearing her sing in that moment, knowing that voice so well, inspired Rick, reminded him of not only what he fights for, but also the effect her singing had on the Zentraedi when first exposed to it. And suddenly, he saw a ray of hope that might lead them to victory.
So this is how we end. First the Earth, then the rest of us.
No, Minmay, this is not the end. We still have our lives. It's not over yet. Listen, Minmay, I want you to do something for me. I want you to go now and sing for everyone.
Just sing?
Yes, I think I've got an idea.
The part of Alaska base on the surface had been decimated, but deep underground, Admiral Hayes readied the Earth's Hail Mary counterattack. Meanwhile, on the SDF-1, Rick had relayed his idea to Global and EXEDORE to use Minmay's singing in an attempt to disrupt the Zentraedi fleet, knowing its inevitable effect on those who had never heard a song before.
Commander BREETAI, I want you to consider what I am going to ask you. Please broadcast a simultaneous transmission of Minmay's song on all of your military frequencies.
I have no objection, but what is your plan?
As of yet, the soldiers in DOLZA's main fleet have had no contact with Micronian culture, Commander. When exposed to the song, they will be thrown into confusion and it will boost the Micronians' morale. We will certainly benefit from the chaos in their chain of command.
That could provide us with the kind of opportunity we need to catch them off guard.
But the Zentraedi are not a force we can attack head-on, Commander.
Precisely, Captain Global. They would never expect us to mount a surprise attack against them.
BREETAI, of all people, was aware of the psychological effect music would have on all the warriors in DOLZA's fleet. The pandemonium broadcasting Minmay's songs across every communication frequency would cause on every ship could open the hole they'd need to attack DOLZA head-on. Certainly the last thing he'd expect at this point. But EXEDORE knew that music was not the only psychological weapon the Micronians possessed. And yet he felt the personal nature of this other artillery warranted a very personal request.
Captain Glevel?
Huh?
Did you call me?
Yes, Miss Minmay. Lieutenant Hunter has told me about his plan, and we are going to utilize his idea for our counterattack.
You will be able to sing a song for us, won't you, Minmay?
Yes, of course. Anything to help out.
Good.
I have only one special request, Minmay. Could you do that thing you do in all your movies? I believe your culture refers to it as a kiss.
Huh? I suppose I could. But why do you need that?
I believe this would act effectively as a kind of psychological shock to all the Zentraedi attack forces.
Please. It will benefit our cause, Minmay.
Well, if it'll help.
It's sort of funny how every girl on the bridge all turn in shock at this request. And although Minmay is as naive as any of them as to exactly how this will help anything, it's rather gracious of Minmay to agree to it.
Reflex power modules at 100%. All systems standing by with 20 seconds to firing and counting. Emperor DOLZA, we have detected a high-energy reaction coming from the third planet.
Fields building up around the North Pole. The enemy squadron seems to be disappearing, sir.
What? Give me full magnification.
That's maximum, Commander.
What's that? It must be the Grand Cannon.
It's impossible.
Alaska base must have survived then.
Admiral Hayes' counterattack with the Grand Cannon is truly destructive to the Zentraedi fleet, and certainly catches DOLZA off guard. And the crew of the SDF-1 is certainly heartened to know that someone on the planet survived, especially Alaska base, knowing Lisa is most likely there. And it seemed that the surprise countermeasure from the Earth may have cleared somewhat of a path for the SDF-1 and its allies to push their attack through. Part of the command tower of the battle fortress had been set up like a stage for Minmay and her band to perform on. As they tuned up their instruments, the star of the show was warming up in her makeshift dressing room when she was surprised by a trio of visitors. It was her 3 biggest fans coming to bolster her courage and give her all the support in the universe.
Hi! Huh. We understand the pressure you're under, Minmay.
Going into battle can be very taxing.
Oh. Thank you, everyone. You're very kind.
Miss Minmay, 2 minutes.
Coming!
In the novel, we get a brief moment of Minmay and her band trying to decide which song exactly they should sing for an opener, as they plow into battle the biggest audience in the galaxy. They joked if they should sing My Boyfriend's a Pilot or maybe Stage Fright. But there was a song Minmay had only completed a few days before that the band had barely had time to rehearse. Against their suggestions, Minmay simply told her group, "No, we'll play the new one." The song she is about to sing mesmerized me as a kid, especially after so many times of hearing Stage Fright or To Be in Love, which are rather annoying after hearing them so often by this point. No, this new song is one of my favorites of all time, with lyrics that have inspired me since I was very young to keep going, keep moving during the darkest times of my life. As Minmay and the band prepared their performance, we are shown the full might of all the forces of the SDF-1, and its Zentraedi allies were now also prepared for battle. Every VERITECH they had was standing by, armed with the new strike armor pack, making each fighter worth 10. And each of those fighters was also armed with heavy-duty reflex missiles, a volley of which carried with it untold destructive potential. It was now or never, as Captain Global called out one final message to their entire combined force before they launched to avenge the destruction of the Earth.
Attention all fighter pilots. This is Captain Global speaking. Once we enter enemy airspace, it will be necessary to observe total radio silence under all circumstances. Only Miss Minmay's song will be broadcast on all open frequencies. If all goes as planned, the enemy will be thrown into disarray and we will attack in full force.
This may be the only chance we'll have.
Good luck.
Transmission is being picked up by DOLZA's ships.
Good. All ships move out.
What's that on our video monitor? I don't know, but we're receiving it on all our open communication frequencies.
We're within firing range. No counterattack detected.
It's working!
This is it. Fire!
Minmay?
Yes, Kyle, I know. You've come to say goodbye.
Yes.
Farewell, Minmay. I'll always remember. Attack! Right on target.
Oh, just everything about this scene is so amazingly cool. From Minmay's song to seeing the SDF-1 enter battle along with BREETAI and his fleet. Not to mention seeing what a massive barrage these cruisers are capable of unleashing in their full attack power. Minmay and Kyle basically do a little skit to prelude their kiss, which does have the desired effect EXEDORE hoped it would, distracting DOLZA's forces as shots from the SDF-1 and BREETAI's fleet blast right through their ships. Rick watching Minmay's kiss as he bids her goodbye before launching Skull 1 into the fray, firing his missiles at anything that moves, every blip he locks onto as he switches between modes, destroying any attack fired back at him. Even Max and MIRIYA are flying side by side, unable to radio each other due to the Minmay attack blaring on all frequencies, but still reading each other loud and clear as they fight back to back, letting nothing stand between them. It's all beautiful in its terror, inspiring in its destruction, watching our heroes face odds unlike any other, with a determination and a message that they will win, that we can win. We will win. With these words in his ears, his mind, his heart, Rick closes in closer to his Zentraedi battlecruiser, ready to hit it with a reflex-powered payload.
That takes care of that, yeah!
He hadn't even seen where the volley of missiles had come from, and it was too late to shoot them down. He pulled both of Skull 1's arms tight against its chest to cover where he sat in the Battlelord's cockpit. The missiles exploded against Skull 1, the concussive forces detonating, spiraling the VERITECH out of control, blowing it and Rick out of the stars.